life doesn't always go as planned. That was something I learned the hard way. When my father passed, the dream I had of becoming a journalist seemed to crumble. But what I didn't know then was that sometimes, life plants seeds in unexpected places, and with the right care, those seeds grow into something beautiful. It was another hot afternoon at the garage. The air smelled of grease and metal, and my broom swished back and forth across the concrete floor. I was trying not to think too much about the neighborhood boys who mocked me whenever they passed by. Then I saw it. The sleek black car pulled into the lot, just like it had weeks ago. My heart raced as I put down the broom. The door opened, and out stepped Mr. Eso, looking just as sharp in his suit. "William," he called out, his voice warm and familiar. I walked over, wiping my hands on my rag. "Good afternoon, sir. Is everything okay with the car?" "Perfect," he said with a laugh. I was in the area and thought I'd drop by to say hello. I wasn't sure why someone like him would go out of his way to visit me, but I didn't ask. Instead, we sat on the wooden bench under the neem tree, the shade offering relief from the scorching sun. "So, William," he began, "what's your story? Do you enjoy working here?" I hesitated. No one had ever asked me that before. "It's fine, sir," I said, choosing my words carefully. "But I always wanted to be a journalist. Life had other plans." He nodded thoughtfully, his eyes never leaving mine. "Did you know I started as a carpenter?" That surprised me. "A carpenter?" "Yes," he said, smiling. "Learning a trade gave me the foundation I needed to build something bigger. Today, I own Eso's Designs, showrooms across the country. And I see that same potential in you." I stared at him, unsure of what to say. "Me? Potential?" He leaned forward, his voice steady and encouraging. "William, how would you like to go back to school? There's a technical institute in Birawa where you can study auto mechanics. It's one of the best in the country. If you're willing, I'd like to help you get there." For a moment, I just sat there, stunned. No one had ever offered me an opportunity like that before. I'd like that very much, sir," I finally managed to say. That evening, we sat under the mango tree at home. Uncle Kwame found himself with an old newspaper as Mr. Eso explained his plan. "I want to send William to Birawa Technical Institute," he said. "He has talent, and I don't want it to go to waste." Uncle Kwame's face lit up, and he clapped his hands together. "You've given this boy hope, Eso. God bless you." I sat quietly, listening to them talk. For the first time in a long while, I felt hopeful. The gates of Birawa Technical Institute were intimidating, flanked by busy students carrying toolkits and notebooks. My stomach churned as I stepped out of the car. "This is your chance, William," Mr. Eso said, patting my shoulder. "Make the most of it." I nodded, clutching my bag tightly. As we walked through the gates, I whispered a silent prayer. The first few weeks were rough. The diagrams in class looked like alien scribbles, and in the workshop, my hands fumbled over bolts and tools. But I kept at it, staying late to practice what I had learned during the day. By the end of the term, things began to change. I wasn't just keeping up, I was excelling. Inter-school competitions became my favorite part of the year. I brought home trophies and certificates, each one a testament to how far I had come. During vacations, I returned to the garage. Kofi would greet me with his usual grin. "Boss William, show me what you've learned this time." We'd laugh and walk side by side, just like we always had. But now, I felt different. I felt like I was contributing something meaningful. Years later, I graduated from university with a degree in automotive engineering. My name was called at the ceremony, and as I walked across the stage to receive my certificate, I thought about Papa, about Uncle Kwame, and about Mr. Eso. But my dream didn't stop there. I wanted to build something of my own, a state-of-the-art garage that would carry on Papa's legacy while creating something new. With Mr. Eso's guidance, I registered my business and rented a place in the city. Best Fix Garage became more than a name, it became a symbol of everything I had worked for. One day, Kofi walked into my office with a grin. "Boss, someone's here to see you, a friend from your old neighborhood." I stepped out and found a familiar face. It was one of the boys who used to mock me when I first started at the garage. "You've done well for yourself, bro," he said, looking around in awe. I smiled and offered him a seat. "Don't give up," I told him. "Keep pushing. If you're willing, I could use another set of hands here." He looked embarrassed but grateful. "Thank you," he said, his voice low. That evening, on the vast lawn of Mr. Esso's house, we sat together, Uncle Kwame, Mr. Esso, and me. "Uncle Kwame," I said, "thank you for pushing me to take up Papa's trade. I didn't understand it back then, but now I do." He smiled, his eyes soft. "Your father would be proud, William. For him, fixing cars was a job. For you, it's a life." I turned to Mr. Esso. "Thank you for believing in me, sir. I wouldn't be here without you." He smiled back. "The world awaits you, William. Keep reaching higher." As I looked up at the stars, I realized something important. Life doesn't always go as planned, but sometimes, it leads you exactly where you need to be.